So hi, this is Jim Nariel from loseweightfastresolve.com, and today I've joining me Jonathan Bailor from the Smarter Science of Slim and creator of the smarterscienceofslim.com. It's really an effective and unique program on how to obviously get slim. I've no doubt Jonathan will be sharing some great things for us today, but that being said, Jonathan, welcome to the call. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jim. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem at all. Well, sort of before we get started and get into the main content here, just wonder if you can tell me a little bit about yourself, like how you got started and what really motivated you to create the Smarter Science of Slim.
Well, over a decade ago, Jim, I was a personal trainer, and I was also an individual who I've never actually struggled with weight loss. What I've struggled with is weight gain, and I had this profound experience of when I was working with clients, and while I was eating upwards of 6,000 calories a day in an attempt to gain weight, my clients would be eating 1,200 calories per day and exercising more than I was, and neither one of us were seeing the results we wanted. They couldn't get their weight to go down, and I couldn't get my weight to go up. So started to think there's got to be something more going on here, and that set me on a path of a 10-year scientific journey that really changed everything that I was taught via traditional personal training methods in terms of the way we keep fat off our body and stay healthy.
Wow. And sort of Smart Science of Slim is quite an intriguing title. I just wondered, what is it, the Smarter Science? What's it all about?
Yeah, well, the Smarter Science of Slim is just the name of the distillation, the book we wrote after the single largest scientific analysis of fat loss and health ever conducted. It's the only resource of its kind to be endorsed by the worldwide scientific community, including top doctors at the Harvard Medical School, Johns Hopkins, and UCLA, and also the only resource of its kind to be approved as curriculum for registered dietitians by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, formerly the American Dietetic Association, I believe. And I say that only because with so much myth information and theory out there, what we wanted to do was assemble what had actually been proven by the research. And what's very ironic is what the actual experts, people who spend their time in laboratories, people who spend their time doing science, not necessarily the people who are in the media or writing the back of cereal boxes, what they've proven is dramatically different than what even I was taught as a personal trainer. In fact, what their research shows that we've then summarized, simplified, and applied is that if we focus on the quality of the food we eat and the quality of the exercise we get rather than the quantity, we can actually, and in fact we have to, eat more and exercise less but smarter in order to cause the hormonal change that frankly enables all of us to have bodies that work more like the body of a naturally thin people. People we meet every day that kind of eat whatever they want, don't really exercise and stay slim. Science has shown us how we can all make our bodies work more like those people's bodies, and it's not about starving ourselves, and it's not about spending more time on the stair stepper.
Right, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a topsy-turvy different way around from what we've been taught before. Yeah.
It is. The good thing, though, is that in some ways it's counterintuitive, but in some ways it's intuitive if you consider the fact that ever since we started trying to eat less and ever since we started exercising, we've gotten nothing but heavier and sicker around the world. Not to say that correlation implies causation, but clearly what we've been taught to do isn't working. So the idea that we have to do something different in order to get a different result actually kind of makes a little bit of sense. It's some, Einstein's famous quote of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results not being a good approach. So trying something different with hopes of getting a different result is actually kind of promising.
And tested as well, yeah, laboratories, yeah. Okay. Also, you've got a really great video on your website as well, and you talk about how we get our biology to work the same as the people who are naturally thin. I think you've just been talking about that. So how do we basically do that?
Yeah, so the key thing, it may sound a bit like, this is too good to be true, eat more, exercise less. It's not about eating more of the foods that cause obesity in the first place, and it's not about just sitting around all day. It's about what we call eating more or eating more smarter and exercising less smarter. So the way we enable our bodies to work more like the bodies of naturally thin people, we can't change our genetics, but we can change the hormonal balance in our body. And hormones are fundamentally why we gain weight. If you think about, all of us, as we age, we tend to have a harder time keeping weight off our body. That's not because we're getting lazier and hungrier. It's because our hormones are changing. After the age of 30, men's testosterone levels fall and women's estrogen levels fall, and that causes us to store rather than burn fat. However, if we do the proper mode of exercise, and this is a type of exercise which is so intense but safe, we can't do a lot of it. And if we eat enough of the right kinds of foods that we're too full for the fattening foods, such as starches or sweets, we will actually be eating more and we'll be exercising less, but we'll be doing it smarter, and we will trigger a hormonal environment in our body which emulates that of a naturally thin person, and that's how we keep weight off our body and improve our health long term, rather than just starving ourselves, temporarily losing weight and then gaining all of it back and then some, because we're fighting against our body rather than changing the underlying mechanisms within our body.
That's really cool. Okay, great. Also, on your video as well, it's something that fascinated me. You say you can work out once or twice a week for about 10 to 20 minutes and still lose weight. This is quite a sort of reduction to what most people actually think and believe. How is that sort of thing achieved then?
Well, if you think about it, Jim, it's only intuitive that the higher the quality of exercise, the less of it you can do. For example, we can't sprint as long as we can walk. If I told you to just go outside and sprint as hard as you can, and then, you'd stop after 10 to 20 seconds, not because you're lazy, but because you just can't sprint as long or as frequently as you could go for a walk around the block, right? So if we just continue that intuitive logic and say, if we perform a type of exercise that actually causes a meaningful change in our body, right? I mean, the way our body reacts to sprinting is much different than the way our body reacts to walking. And there's a specific form of exercise known as eccentric training, which so effectively works every single type of muscle fiber in our body that when we do it and we do it correctly, it will be physically impossible for us to do it for a long time or to do it frequently. Again, not because we're lazy, but when we wake up the next day, it'll be difficult for us to walk down the stairs, let alone go to the gym and do it again. And in many ways, you can actually tell the more you're able to exercise, the lower the quality of your exercise by definition. Again, right, the faster you run, the less of it you can do. So it's not because you're lazy, it's because there's an inverse relationship between the quality and the quantity of exercise that you can do.
That's really cool. That's really good. Thanks for that. And the question I always love to ask is that for anyone who always wanted to lose weight but has tried everything under the sun, or every product, and nothing seems to work, what would your best advice be for that type of person?
Fortunately, I have not met many people who have actually tried everything. What I would say is they've tried everything according to conventional wisdom, meaning they've tried every possible way to eat less and to exercise more. They've tried to hire people to force them to exercise more in the gym. They've tried to trick themselves into eating less and these take pills that help you to eat less. The point is that eating less and exercising more fails and has been shown to fail in studies for about 95.4% of us. So if what you're doing is eating less and exercising more, unless you're one of the fortunate 4.6% of the population that works for, you're not going to have long-term success. So in some ways that's hopeful, because now you know what not to do. What you need to do, instead of trying to just eat less of the foods that made you gain weight and doing more of exercise which hasn't been successful for you in the past, is you need to eat different kinds of foods, and you need to eat them in mass. You need to eat a lot of them, and you need to do less but higher quality exercise. The short version of this, and of course there's way more information in the book and on the website, is you need to focus on foods that are rich in water, fiber, and protein. So you need to stuff yourself with non-starchy vegetables. I'm talking green leafy vegetables, things you put in salads, not starchy vegetables. So not potatoes, not corn, green leafy vegetables, broccoli, carrots, things like that, as well as nutrient-dense sources of protein. So any kind of seafood, nutrient-dense cuts of meats, things like cottage cheese, Greek yogurts, and then eat and enjoy whole food natural fats. So things like nuts and seeds. And we can also enjoy low sugar fruits, such as berries and citrus fruits. When we eat this abundance of foods, three important things happen. And forgive me, I have to cough here real quick. three important things happen. First, we're never hungry. And if you want to do anything for the rest of your life, which is what we want to do, right? We want to be slim for the rest of our life. So we have to keep this up. We can't be hungry. We'll never be hungry. We'll eat more food than we've ever eaten in our life. The other thing we'll do is we will accidentally, believe it or not, consume fewer calories. When you eat these types of foods, you provide your body with an abundance of nutrition and you stabilize your hormones, which enables your body to automatically regulate calories in, calories out, meaning it's impossible for you to overeat. So you're not going to be hungry. At the same time, you will automatically eat fewer calories while you will be eating more food. You'll be eating fewer calories, and you're not trying to. That just happens automatically, and you're not hungry. The third thing that will happen is you'll provide your body with more nutrition than it's ever been exposed to, ever. And this is really important because we don't want our body to think it's starving. If our body thinks it's starving, it's going to hold on to fat. It's not going to try to get rid of it because it's in an emergency state. But when it's provided with an abundance of nutrition, it doesn't act that way. So we've got an abundance of nutrition. We are accidentally eating fewer calories, and we're eating more food, though, so we're not hungry. And then the last thing we do is these types of foods create a tremendously different hormonal environment in the body. Ask any diabetic, right? There's certain foods they can eat and there's certain foods they can't eat because of the hormonal impact they have on the body. So when you combine no hunger, an abundance of nutrition, a positive hormonal balance, and automatically avoiding overeating, you end up in a state of practical and permanent fat loss. And I say fat loss, not weight loss, because it will preserve your lean muscle tissue, and that's extremely important because what we don't want to do is burn off everything. We just want to burn off fat. And that's the other important part of this is we need to exercise smarter. Basically, instead of exercising more, we need to move away. We don't need to exercise more. We need to exercise with more resistance. So things like interval training, people are probably familiar with things like resistance training. And it's not about going in the gym and picking up 2 pounds with your arms. It's about doing heavy weight training with your big muscle groups. So your legs, your back, your chest. And for all the ladies out there, it is a scientific fact that you do not need to worry about building big muscle. It's not going to happen. You're genetically regulated such that you will not accidentally build big muscle, but what you will do is trigger the hormones that are key to burning fat and to preserving muscle tissue so that you look slim and tight rather than having, a bunch of excess skin or looking like a skeleton, which I don't think is any of our goals.
Jonathan, that's absolutely a fantastic piece of information. Thank you very much. And this has been a really awesome call, so thanks for that as well. You shared some great information for us today. What is the best way that people can get more information on you and your programs?
Well, you can definitely go to smarterscienceofslim.com, and there's just a wealth of information there. But it's all predicated on the book, The Smarter Science of Slim, which is available in the UK, Australia, the United States, as well as Canada, so all major English-speaking markets. It's a really easy read. There's a lot of science in there, but it's been very, very simplified. And I would highly recommend everyone picking it up. Truly, if you feel like you've tried everything, I can promise you haven't. And I can promise you that what you'll find here it contains more scientific validation and more scientific endorsements than anything you've tried previously. So if nothing else, hopefully this gives you some hope and you check out the book and you check out some website and you have some long-term success.
Good stuff. Well, thanks very much for doing this call. And everyone, make sure to check out Jonathan's program at smarterscienceofslim.com. And again, this is Jim Nariel from loseweightfastresolve.com. And thanks for joining us. Take care.